Too many to tell.
Presbyterian Universalist Congregation of Lynchburg. We're glad you're here. Whoever you are, whatever your beliefs, whatever your age, whatever your gender identity, and whomever you love, you are welcome here. As we work together for justice, compassion, and peace, we also acknowledge with humility that our buildings sit on traditional Monacan land. I'm Terry Bailiff. I'm the contract minister with this congregation, and I share the ministry with all of our members and friends. If you're with us for the first time on Zoom or in the sanctuary, we're glad you chose to be with us this morning to participate in the service for this congregation we love. If you'd like to receive our monthly newsletter and Friday email updates, please fill out the virtual visitor card found on our website, uulynchburg.org, under Sunday services, or if you're in the sanctuary, you can just fill out the yellow card in the back of the chair in front of you. And then you can place that in the basket, the offering basket, when it comes around. So I get to announce one of my favorite evenings of the year. Is always the auction. And I always spend too much money and enjoy doing it. So it's time for our annual spring auction. Online bidding has already begun. I checked it out today. The dinner and the live auction will be this coming Saturday, April 18th from 5:30 to 8. The online bidding ends at 11 p.m. on Monday, April 20th. And there are lots of really fun items and opportunities that will enhance your life and help the congregation's budget. We also have new flooring. Did anybody notice the new flooring, or maybe you weren't sinking a little bit as you walked through the hallway? Many thanks to Chris and all the people who worked on this. How many people worked? Raise your hand if you worked on the floor. Yay, thank you so much. Yeah, we didn't want to fall through to the boiler. Goodness. Next Sunday, we're going to celebrate Earth Day and bless our beloved pets. So you're invited to bring your well-behaved pets, nothing that will squeeze me to death or bite me, or a picture of your pet or a memorial picture or one of your pet's stuffed toys, or even a stuffed animal that you love if you don't have a pet. So let's celebrate all our relations next week. So as we join together, I invite us to release our worries about the world and our own lives as we enter into this space by sharing some slow, calming breaths. So good to be together. And so let's welcome each other. Roomies, can you say good morning to our Zoomies? Zoomies, say good morning to our roomies. It's always fun to be together. Molly, did you? Oh, okay. Let's take a moment now to light the chalice of our faith. Thank you, Courtney. Let us share together our unison response. May the candle we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, O Spirit of life. And Eve, thank you for being with us this morning and sharing the opening words.
Thank you, Reverend Terry. It's always so good to be with you. We get to work together, and so good to be back with all of you. I took an anti-oppression workshop a few years ago with this organization called the People's Institute for Survival and Beyond. And the facilitator was a woman named Barbara Major. And in one of the exercises she had us do together, she listed a number of cultures on these big pieces of paper on the wall all around the room. So, like, one big piece of paper said Black culture, one said Irish culture, one said Latin culture, and so on. And under each of those cultures, she wrote 2 columns. And we were instructed to go around the room and write 2 things under each culture. In one column, we were to put down one derogatory stereotype we had heard, we knew about that culture. And then in the other column, we were to list something life-giving, nourishing that culture contributes to the world, food, music, poetry, so on. And then later we sat around talking with each other about, well, what is it that makes a culture a culture? And Miss Major pointed out that each of the cultures listed around the room was always trying to navigate its own identity in relationship to a dominant culture. And in this case, the dominant culture was whiteness. Whiteness creates a hierarchy of cultures. And she talked about how if we are talking about being Irish or Polish, there's all kinds of nourishing things that those cultures create and sustain and gift to the world. But whiteness, she pointed out, is a culture of power. Power is its primary characteristic, and dominance over others is what whiteness creates and sustains. So, in the way that whiteness remains dominant is that it teaches other cultures that there is one right way to look, to act, to feel, to be. Whiteness teaches that all other cultures should measure their legitimacy and worth against the one right way. And the further a culture is from the white standard of what aesthetic and behavior should be, the less value whiteness assigns to that culture. So, in other words, whiteness teaches other cultures there is one right way, and that deviating from that one right way means you are not just wrong, you're bad. In the course of our conversation, we talked about what's the antidote to a dominant culture such as whiteness? How do we heal from there being this hierarchy? And someone said we have to decolonize our imagination. Decolonize our imagination, which is to say, we have to intentionally look at the ideas and the images in our mind of the one right way and painstakingly uproot them like weeds choking out the garden of thoughts and ideas we each could grow if we were free. Uproot all the examples of the one right way until we leave the soil open to the possibilities that might take root if given the chance. So let's sing together in that spirit. Our opening hymn is number 1017 in the teal hymnal, or we'll sing together on the screen. We are building a new way. Please rise in body or spirit.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. Feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Free of hate, greed, and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom, that is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, this world would die. Peace and freedom is our cry.
You would be seated. I don't know if there are any other people young at heart who'd like to join us, but I'm very excited
I
about this
know.
story you found.
And I don't know, maybe everybody's out enjoying the nice spring weather. Do you want to sit down here so you can see the pictures?
But Nora, I feel really young at heart this morning.
So we have a really good book today called Say Something by Peter Reynolds. We've read a lot of his books. He's a good writer. Yes, I'm glad you brought a friend today. The world needs your voice. Yes, yours. Go ahead. It doesn't need to be perfect as long as it is from your heart. Hi, Emma. You don't have to be loud. Powerful words can be a whisper. You can say something in so many ways, with words, with action, with creativity. If you see someone lonely,
Say something.
by just being there for them. If you see an empty canvas,
Say something.
say something with your brush. If you see an empty lot,
Say something.
say something by planting a seed and watching it bloom. If you see someone being hurt,
Say something.
say something by being brave. What?
Stop.
Hey, stop. If you see something beautiful,
Say something.
say something with a poem. If you have a brilliant idea,
Say something.
say something with confidence. Can you read that one?
I know.
She says, Eureka!
What does that mean?
It's like a big exclamation of celebration when you've discovered something or achieved something. If you want to show the world who you are,
Say something.
say something with style. Ta-da! If you are angry,
Say something.
say something to help people understand. You made me feel invisible, and that really hurt. Oh, I'm really sorry. If you see an injustice,
Say something.
say something peacefully, like no more hurting people. Inspire others to do the same. Sometimes you'll say something and no one will be listening, but keep saying what is in your heart, and you will find someone who listens.
A bird.
A bird?
A million birds?
Right. If you tell one bird, then maybe they'll bring the whole flock to listen. Keep saying it, and you may be surprised to find the whole world is listening. If you are grateful for being alive, quietly say something to the stars, to the universe. Some people find it easier to say something than others, but everyone has something to say. So when you're ready,
Say something.
say something. Your voice can inspire, heal, and transform. Your voice can change the world. Are you ready to say something? Yeah? Good.
Wow, I really like that
I
book.
know, isn't it a good
Because
book?
sometimes it's scary to say something.
It very much is. And this was a great book to help us think of all the different ways we can use our voice to make a difference.
Especially when we're a child. But you know, one thing that I've learned here and in other congregations, sometimes our children
Are the best
teach
teachers?
me, they teach me a lot. And sometimes I get even sermon ideas from our children.
I've had the same feeling. So today, upstairs in RE, we're going to be talking about embracing the possibility of building a better world. And one of the ways we can do that is by using our voice to say something and to find people who think like us, to make connections. And so for all of you, we are going to be playing a bingo game upstairs in RE where our young people have to try to make a bingo by finding people who can meet their different little squares, like things that might be the same as them or different from them. And so we don't have very many young people today, so we're probably not going to get our bingos upstairs. So during coffee hour, our young people are going to have their bingo sheets, and maybe you all can help them fill in their squares.
Well, can I say just one more thing? Emma, can you stand up? I want to ask all the grown-ups, the tall people, how many of you came to this congregation because you want to say something in the world and you wanted to find a group of people who had similar beliefs, who wanted to say something to change the world for the better? Yeah, look at all those grown-ups who did that. Yeah, so y'all aren't by yourselves.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
All right.
Let
David,
us
I think
sing.
we're ready.
Let us sing them on their way.
We sang with you, keepers of the flame, our thoughts, our hopes, our love. In all that you do, keepers of the flame, be strong, have courage, be true. We sang with you, keepers of the flame, our thoughts, our hopes, our love. In all that you do, keepers of the flame, be strong, have courage, be true.
Each Sunday, we take an offering of our gifts for the work of this community, both within these buildings and in the larger world.
From you I receive, with you I give. Together we share, from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, from this we live.
We are grateful for your gifts that were generously given. They are gratefully received. Spirit of life and love, we hold up today the gift of being alive on our beautiful Mother Earth during this time. We are those who are choosing to do what we can to make a difference in the world, to say something when injustice occurs. We're also aware of the times when we feel hopeless, like we can't do anything. And we're so grateful for our community that enlivens us and gives us the strength to be our own truth and to speak our own truth, not just for ourselves, but for all our sisters and brothers. We hold up today those who are suffering in mind, body, or spirit. May they find healing and wholeness. And as the beauty of spring unfolds, may we hold the pain of the world and the beauty of the world in balance, so that we may always be renewed to move forward with hope and joy and peace and love. This we ask in the name of all that is sacred. Amen.
I love movies from the early years of Hollywood, movies made in like the 1920s and 1930s, pull me in a very specific way. The characters don't always feel like real people that I know, but the actors command the space so captivatingly in various shades of glamorous, romantic melancholy. And these classic films are also comforting because I know the basic formula that I'm going to experience. The bad guys are thoroughly bad and they get what's coming to them. Women have smooth, dewy faces, and the men play hard to get for a while, afraid of marriage and domesticity and all that. But in the end, they fall in love and they get together. But the other night, I turned on a black and white movie that I had never seen before. It was called Man's Castle, starring Spencer Tracy and Loretta Young. And I didn't know anything about the plot going in. Suffice to say that within the first 15 minutes, it was the most edgy, interesting, unexpected black and white movie I had ever seen. The main characters say derisive and like critical things about the Bible and about religion in general. They critique the US government's apparent favoritism of the rich. There is male nudity fully on display, and then there's female nudity fully on display. There's a pregnancy outside of marriage that isn't cast as a tragedy, but brings two lovers joy and possibility. When the movie ended, I was stunned. I had never seen a black and white movie like that before. So I had to look it up. And I found that the original was filmed in 1933 during an era known as pre-code Hollywood. And that phrase was so interesting, pre-code Hollywood. So I dug deeper. And as it turns out, from about 1900, when it was starting to become a little more common to see movies in theaters, until 1933, movies were being made without much regulation to their content. A number of religious groups had tried to impose standards of morality on movie makers, but nothing was enforceable. But then in 1934, the Production Code Administration was formed to enforce a specific morality code that all major motion pictures had to follow if they wanted funding and if they wanted to be publicly viewed. And the idea, there wasn't a rating system yet, like it's rated R, it's rated G. So the idea was to prevent movies from portraying anything immoral to viewers, both adult and children. And scripts were actually changed and scenes had to be played out differently if the code enforcers caught something that they didn't like as they were observing the making of a film. And here are some of the key pieces of the code that movie makers suddenly had to fit inside. So definitely no nudity or lustful kissing was allowed. The bad guys should never be portrayed as sympathetic. And a lot of directors were instructed to make sure that the bad guys either died or were in prison by the end of the film. A woman being pregnant or having a baby out of wedlock must be actively condemned in the telling of the story. Clergy could not be ridiculed, which, let's be honest, that's a good one. That's one of the good rules. But I'm just kidding. But they said even like religion in the Bible could not be mocked. And one of the standards was, quote, throughout, the audience must make sure they feel that evil is wrong and good is right, end quote. But who got to define evil and good was complicated. You couldn't show a romantic relationship between a white person and a black person, for example. Productivity and hard work had to be shown as leading to wealth and laziness to poverty. Authority figures, even problematic ones, had to be treated with respect. Depictions of gay characters were prohibited. So stories could no longer be organic and spontaneous, following instincts and intuition to reflect the depth and complexity of human experience. And movie makers definitely pushed the boundaries as much as they could, but if they wanted funding and they wanted their film to ever see the light of day, they were restricted within the confines of the code. And the code took lived experience and removed the nuance and the individuality from the equation to produce these stylized, confining ideals instead. So for 30 years, films had to show that there was one right way to be a woman, one right way to be a man, one right way to have a family, one right way to think about religion and government. And this has always happened outside of Hollywood, too, of course. From the time we are born, we are all handed a code to live by, drafted in part by our family, in part by the larger culture. It tells us how to look and how to live. An spoken and unspoken list of do's and don'ts. And we are taught again and again that there is one right way to do things if you are going to be acceptable, if you are going to be good. And after years of practice, it really gets hard to think outside of that code. We forget that there is more than one way to go about things, and that what is true and right for others isn't necessarily true and right for us. For my day job, I am a health coach. And I help people make changes to their nutrition, get better sleep, reduce their stress. And I have found over the past couple years that the wellness field is full of one right ways to do something. This vitamin is the end all, or this fitness routine works for all bodies. And I was meeting with a woman who was trying to feel more like herself in day-to-day life. Her energy was low, her hormones were imbalanced, her digestion was off. And so we started focusing on getting more quality sleep because that will help with all of those challenges. And I told her what my training had taught me. She should try getting to sleep before 10 p.m. because sleep before midnight is more restorative than sleep after midnight. And our goal was for her to get 8 hours of sleep. So we tried everything. We tried cutting out screen time a little earlier, having carbohydrates with dinner, spending time outside in the morning and the evening. Nothing changed. Going to bed at 9 p.m., she just laid there until 3 or 4 a.m. when she finally let herself get up, but she wasn't rested. And finally, she sort of timidly suggested a different approach. She told me that she'd noticed when she let herself stay up until 11:30, she fell into a deeper sleep and she stayed asleep longer. And it was really hard for me to let go of the one right way to get better sleep. And I worried that by breaking the rules, she was only going to make things worse. But she was persistent and she tried trusting herself and gave it a go. And within a week, she was getting more sleep. And she no longer had to spike her anxiety about getting it wrong and trying to fit inside a routine that made her feel frustrated and trapped. For her, it worked staying up late and sleeping in. That was natural for her body. Sometimes the one right way is so loud, so insistent that it drowns out our own quiet, steady intuition. And it takes courage and practice to trust ourselves, to turn inward and sense what feels right for our own unique body and our own unique life. A friend of mine has a child who is having trouble following step-by-step directions in order at school. And he's less organized than the other students. And his school has determined that he needs to be given corrective therapy so that he doesn't get left behind. And at the same time, his art teacher says, "Oh my God, he is amazing. Most other kids don't know what to do unless they're given step-by-step instructions to follow. But he just makes up his own process and creates something unexpected." And the art teacher says, "Oh, he has something that just can't be taught." And likely therapy will ease his way. He'll be more organized. He'll stay on track better than he would otherwise. He'll probably fit in better. And adults and other kids may find him less frustrating, easier to work with. It certainly is not practical in a large school to expect his teachers to walk him through every process slowly and relentlessly every day at the cost of other children in the class not getting what they need. And on the other hand, it must be hard to not receive the message that the way he is doing it isn't right. And it's a little sad to tell a child that the truth is, in the world that we are preparing you to inherit, efficiency is prized above all other things. It just allows us to get more done, to be more productive faster. And it would be wonderful if this child learned the skills that will help him thrive at school and at work. But how much more wonderful it will be if in the process he learns to fiercely protect the meandering, improvisational creativity that springs naturally from somewhere mysterious and life-giving inside of him. How beautiful it will be if he finds places where his unique abilities are a joy and not a hindrance. So he learns to cultivate and expand the very particular kind of magic that he brings into the world. Learning to love the parts of ourselves that don't fit the code, that stray outside the lines of what is the right way, learning to love those parts of ourselves is an antidote to shame. If we can love those unconventional, odd, inefficient parts of ourselves that keep cropping up, we will learn to see possibility where we once saw only a shortcoming. I met a very interesting Unitarian Universalist minister when I was serving as the minister of a congregation in Utica, New York. And this minister's name is Tim Barrett, and he had served the Utica congregation for 30 years, a few decades in the past. And he had that special kind of vision that allows a person to see very clearly and easily beyond and outside of the one right or acceptable way. And it got him into trouble a lot. But he has that rare courage to have lived most of his life in that realm of possibility out beyond the code. And Tim and his wife Peg sometimes had me over for lunch, wanting to share stories and welcome me into the congregation that they had once served for so long. Their home was made completely of plywood, these boards less than a half an inch thick, in the Adirondack Mountains. There was no running water, only an outhouse and a beautifully clear creek running nearby. And there was no electricity either. And their small little home was filled with very few possessions, mostly books and musical instruments. And when they served lunch, they opened a trap door in the floor and pulled out some cheese and fruit that they kept in a hole dug in the earth under their home. And they had raised 3 children living like this out in the mountains. And when I met them, they were in their 80s. So they had lived this way for nearly 6 decades. Capitalism tells us there is one right way to find happiness. Consume and consume some more. Accumulate wealth and status, the status that comes from having more than other people have. That is what will make you happy. This is what success looks like. Tim and Peg had found a different way. They trusted connection with the outdoors and sustainability, using only what they needed. The people who live most boldly outside of the one right way, they remind us that we too are free. We too can question the code. We too can set our creativity loose and spend our life chasing after it. We too can find peace, even if we look and act differently than the code approves of. There is no one single script that we can all live by and be true to ourselves and be happy. No one shape that we can all fit inside. There is no one right way. Only our own unique, precious life and the possibility that dwells in each breath. Blessed be. Amen.
Let us rise in body or spirit as we share together hymn 118, This Little Light of Mine. Thank you, Eve. It's always so wonderful to see you on the screen.
Thank you, Terry.
So, friends, it's been wonderful to be together. Zoomies, can you wave goodbye to the roomies? Roomies, say goodbye to the Zoomies. It's so great to be together in time and space. As we extinguish our chalice, let us join together in our closing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
And by way of benediction, we have this old favorite by Mary Oliver, Wild Geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. Go in peace.